Can I ask you a question about one of your signature policies on carbon emissions? You have a market mechanism and effectively a baseline which the nation's biggest emitters effectively can emit so much carbon up to a certain threshold. Can I ask you about coal mines? Will coal mines be forced to buy carbon credits if they go beyond that threshold? And what do you estimate the cost of a carbon credit will be if they have to buy?
Well, let's be clear on this. We have we have the most detailed modelling around the proposals that we have put in place that an opposition has ever produced. The most detailed modelling to make sure that we have a realistic pathway to achieving net zero emissions by 2050, but getting to that target of a 43% reduction. We are really clear about where we need to go, and we have been completely transparent, more than any opposition has ever been, in terms of the information that it's put forward here.
Being transparent, will they have? Now you're the deputy leader. Will they have to buy carbon credits? Well, no, you're the deputy leader. You don't need the shadow treasurer. Surely you would know. No, Mr Marles, can you please come back? No, I'm asking the deputy leader because Mr Albanese isn't here. Does the deputy leader know if they will have to buy carbon credits? It's a simple question. He's behind you. Can we not ask him?
Well, the point that we have made repeatedly, and the point that Pat Conroy and Merrill and others were making during the course of the week, is that our policy is designed not to disadvantage our exporters against the countries and the companies with which they compete around the world. And that goes to the core of your question. But what Richard is saying is that we have put out a detailed policy. The safeguard mechanism, which we have adapted and adopted from the government itself, means that 215 of the biggest emitters will reduce their emissions in line with the safeguard mechanism. Now, the best outcome from our point of view is that businesses reduce their emissions in line with that timetable and that time frame and that safeguard mechanism. Ideally, businesses would do that. Now, I spend a lot of time with miners around Australia. I had a hook-up with the mining industry yesterday. I think I've been through regional Queensland, 60 visits to 29 different towns this term alone. Yeah. And what we have said to coal communities and to coal miners and people who work in this industry is that our climate change policy is designed to leverage and maximise our traditional strengths, not abandon them. And that's what our policy is about. And that's why the modelling that Richard referred to, the more than 600,000 jobs created by our climate change policy, 5 out of every 6 of those are in the regions. Okay. And that goes to the question that you're asking.
I'm now going to ask the Deputy Leader again. Well, Deputy Leader, will they have to buy carbon credits if they go beyond their baseline? And what will those carbon credits cost?
Well, the question has been answered. The question has been answered. You
can answer it again. Will they have to buy carbon credits if they go beyond their baseline?
Well, the question has been answered. Can I say that
yes or no?
The coal industry is going to play a really important part in our country for a long time.
With respect, I don't think you've answered it. Will they have to buy carbon credits if they go beyond it?
We've given you the answers that we've given you.
Mr Charles, just because we're in Queensland and I'll be parochial whenever I can.
Me too.
Very a bit of a hyper-local question with a national implication, though. Yeah. There was a story yesterday and today in the newspaper as well about 500 LNP-branded postal vote applications being dumped in a wheelie bin. Yeah. This speculation in the coalition camp that perhaps the postie was union aligned or there's some kind of union campaign to do this kind of thing. Do you have any knowledge of that? And have you guys written to AusPost as well seeking clarification on this issue?
No, there's no evidence that that's the case. I'm not aware of that allegation that you've just raised. But I will say this. What happened there was completely unacceptable, completely and utterly unacceptable. We need to know what's happened here. We need to know that it won't happen again. And we need to know that Australia Post is adequately resourced to deal with the extra pressure that comes at election time. I've spoken to Michelle Rowland about it this morning. We haven't yet spoken to Australia Post itself. We consider it to be deeply concerning, completely and utterly unacceptable. It can't happen again, and we need to make sure that the resources are there so that it doesn't happen again.
Marles concerned about the political parties using these how to vote cards. They send them to voters, they harvest the information for the party purposes and then they forward it on. Will Labor move first and say that you won't use this practice in future?
Look, this is a long-standing practice which is consistent with electoral law. If the electoral law changes, then we'll change how we go about it. Thanks very much. Thank you.